Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 14th of Menachemov, and we are on page 68. Today is rather short, but let's get into it. The physical world originates in the letter Hey of Hashem's name. We mentioned this yesterday. Hey is pure breath. How do you say Hey? Saying it on its own. Hey, it's like just breath, right? Mem, you're using your lips. A, Vav, Ches. But Hey is just, it's like pure breath. It represents the substance of the letter versus its form, manifesting as matter, not spirit. Its shape also. We talked about the Yud yesterday, how it's just a point. But the Hey represents expansion of godliness in all direction. Until this point, Alter Rebbe explains the Talmudic teaching that the world to come, Olam Haba, was created by the letter Yud. The sphere of Chachma, which this letter represents, is the spiritual source of Gan Eden, which is the world to come. However, according to the above, since the letters of the supernal creative speech derive from Chachma, it would seem that this world, which was also created by the letters of the divine speech, was likewise created from the letter Yud that represents Chachma. However, why then do our sages teach that only the world to come was created from the letter Yud? And this world, they say, was created through the letter Hey. The letters exist on planes of matter and form, which are referred to as their internal aspect, meaning the form, which is their soul, like the soul of the word. And their external aspect, which is the matter, is the body of the word or the letter. Although their source is the primordial stage of the intellect and the will of the soul, for as soon as the soul desires to speak, these letters are formed as we discussed. You don't have to think before you talk. It's just, unfortunately, that people don't think before they talk. It just comes out. You don't think before you walk. You just get up and go. A child has to learn how to speak. But once you know how to speak, yes, you might think of what you're trying to say, but not how to articulate the letters and the words. That flows. This is the form, quote unquote, of the differentiation in the pronunciation of the 22 letters. The matter and the body of their formation, however, meaning the aspect of their externality, is the breath issuing from the heart. From this breath is formed a simple sound which proceeds from the throat. What happens next is then it's then divided into 22 kinds of enunciations and expressions of the 22 letters. The Hey Moitzai is how you do it. These divisions taking place through the 5 known organs of speech: Aleph, Ches, A, and Ayin through the throat. You say Aleph, you could say Aleph, Ches comes from deep within, right? Hey and Ayin. We say Ayin, we just say Ayin, but the real way to say it, the way the Yemenites, the Sephardim, they still say Ayin. It comes from like they're pulling it up from deep in the throat. Gimel Yud Chaf Kuf Mehachich. Gimel Yud Kaf and Kaf and Kuf come through the palate. Gimel Kuf comes from more in the front of the mouth, and so on. Then we have example Beis and Vav and Mem. We talked about this yesterday, that those come from the lips. If you don't close your lips, you can't say certain letters. Try to say Pei or Vav without closing, putting your teeth on your lips. Vav. You can't say it. Say Pei without putting your lips together. It's going to sound like a hey. Hey, you can't do it. Okay. The breath itself has its own sound. What's the breath? The letter hey. You would think ayin and hey are very similar. You have at the end of the word sometimes. Is it a hey or an ayin or an aleph? But the aleph comes from back here. The ayin comes from back here. Hey is the only one. By the way, when there's a dot in the hey, you're supposed to stress it a little, especially at the end of a word. And then you have when there's a patach under the hey. Most people don't know this, but you have to turn it around. Just like you say noyach. You don't say noycha. You say noyach. So with the patach by the hey, you say ah. Now, if there's a dot in it, you have to stress it. When you're laning the Torah and there's a dot in the hey at the end of a word, you actually have to do the It's not a ma or a ka or a ka. It's a huh? It's silent, but you push the hey out. Can you wait till the end? We're almost done, and then we'll go off because no one hears your question here. So, but we're almost done. So it's all the same subject. Hold on 1 second. Three more words here. 3 more lines. So the breath itself is the hey. So when we have the light letter, which is the hey, it's the source of the matter and body of the letters before the division into 22. So really the hey is the source of each letter's body. Let's back up just a little bit. When you talk about a hey, the breath itself, which has its own sound of the letter being spoken, that's only uttered by the letter hey, the lighter, or maybe if you want to say the lightest. In as much as it lacks the substance of a complete letter, it's the only one independently that you only use breath for. Hey. So therefore, our sages of blessed memory said that the world was created by the hey, because we know that Hashem created the world by the breath of his mouth, by the 10 utterances, but it comes from the original hey. It was created by the external aspect or body of the supernal letters, whose source is the hey of the divine name, the Yud Ke Vav Ke. So the takeaway is words are complex. They're made up. We don't think about these things often. We just go about our day and talk as much as we want. But now we realize that there's a lot of nuances when it comes to where the sound comes from, how we make the sound, how it comes out. And in Torah, every single thing has a purpose or a meaning. So words are complex. They're made up of external sounds, but they are rooted in the divine soul. And the divine letters also contain this complexity. They're defined energies to create the world, but they contain in them the essence of the divine. Okay, tomorrow we're going to talk about the lower hey, and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today.